Sometimes it's based off price, sometimes it's based off of opportunity, sometimes it's just a gut feeling. But it's this time of the year where you find a few guys that you absolutely love and then just follow them closely throughout the next couple of months. That's why in today's video, we're discussing 5 wide receivers that I love way too early in 2025. Now, we have a long way to go this offseason with free agency and the draft right around the corner. A lot of things can still change, but with the current situation of these players in this show today, they could be league winners in 2025. So if you're ready for a banger here this offseason, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's just dive into the first guy. It's Drake London of the Atlanta Falcons. Now, if you followed this show last offseason, I felt like Drake London was a little bit too overvalued, and then we kind of saw why last year. It was the touchdown dependency and the unknown about the health of Kirk Cousins. Now, high level, it looked like Drake London absolutely killed it in 2024. He finished as the wide receiver 5 overall in fantasy football, but he only had 3 100-yard games, and 25% of his season-long scoring came in just 2 games. In fact, there were 7 games last year that he failed to even score double-digit fantasy points in, and those weeks are absolute killers. But I can hear you out there. Jake, you said you loved these guys, and right now, you're just talking me out of Drake London. Right off the bat, what are we doing? Well, this is a new year. Now we basically know that Kirk Cousins is washed and Michael Penix is looking to be the future here in Atlanta. Did you see what Penix and London did the end of 2024? In the last 3 games of the season, Drake London had 39 targets. 39 targets in 3 games is huge. How about 22 receptions, 352 yards, and 2 touchdowns in just 3 weeks? Now, I don't think we can expect that same type of volume over an entire season, but there is no denying that Michael Penix is going to look the way of Drake London a lot. There have been so many early offensive picks over the last couple of years in Atlanta with the likes of Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Michael Penix. The chances of them going offense early in the draft once again has to be super low. The team has needs elsewhere that they need to address more than the wide receiver position. If Drake London can get anywhere around the same amount of volume that he saw in 2024, he can actually afford to score 30 points less than he did last year and still finish inside the top 10 at the position. So similar volume with a 30-point buffer just to finish where he's being drafted? As of right now, I love myself some Drake London. But do you know who else I also love? How about McConkey of the Los Angeles Chargers? His stock may have risen faster than any other wide receiver down the stretch of 2024. He ended the 2024 season with 7 straight games in double-digit fantasy points. Then he went into the playoffs and went absolutely nuclear, where he had 14 targets, 9 catches, 197 yards, and a touchdown. We know that Quentin Johnston has oven mitts for hands. Josh Palmer and DJ Chark, they're both free agents, but most importantly, Ladd McConkey had the 6th most slot snaps among all NFL wide receivers last year, and you know how we like that slot. He showed the big playability last year. He has a more than capable quarterback in Justin Herbert. The run game is going to be a little bit more of a focus, an off-season priority in LA, at least a little bit more than the passing game, but something else that is also important. No matter what changes this offseason in LA for the Chargers, Ladd McConkey is going to enter the 2025 season as the safety valve for Justin Herbert in this passing offense. He is a locked-in wide receiver too, in my opinion, and I really don't see how anything can change that in 2025. He's currently the wide receiver 15 overall, and with the way that he ended 2024, that number is more than attainable once again in 2025. So I love myself. I don't just love saying his name, I love the potential this year of Ladd McConkey. Now, real quick, before I dive into the next guy who I love this offseason, I gotta shout out today's sponsor, Turtle Beach. But don't just hear Turtle Beach and say, isn't that all about gaming? I'm not really a gamer, I'm not interested. Because even if you're not a gamer, they got something for your home office as well. Now, if you're anything like me, you like a clean workspace, and I don't know, I hate cords all over the place. So having a wireless keyboard and a wireless mouse from Turtle Beach can transform your workspace. Now, if you are a gamer, for sure, you know they got you covered already with crazy headsets like the Stealth 700. They have racing simulators and flight simulators. They can up your gaming experience as well. But if you're just looking to clean up your home office, don't forget about Turtle Beach. Head over to turtlebeach.com right now and use code word headliners at checkout for 10% off your entire order. That's right, that's 10% off your entire order at turtlebeach.com when you use the promo code headliners. We absolutely love ourselves some Turtle Beach, almost as much as we love the next guy here on the list. Now, the next one may shock you a little bit, but give me a second to explain myself. It's Deebo Samuel now of the Washington Commanders, and I know, trust me, I'm not a Deebo guy. I haven't been for years if you followed me. But this is more now about being in Washington and the price that you will be able to get him at in your 2025 fantasy football drafts. As of right now, he is a projected 8th round pick in fantasy football. At that point, he's like your wide receiver 3 at best, but he gives you a ton of potential firepower on your bench. San Francisco didn't do Deebo any favors in their offense here as of late. He got nothing down the field. Heck, most of the time, he was getting the ball behind the line of scrimmage and then having to make everything happen himself. And you can see that in some of his metrics. Last year, Deebo Samuel was 98th among all NFL wide receivers in average depth of target and 70th overall in deep targets. Dude was basically just tossed the ball right there around the line of scrimmage and then said, go to work, Deebo, but that won't be the case in Washington. This is an offense that is on the rise, and Cliff Kingsbury at offensive coordinator is going to use Deebo Samuel more down the field in his air raid offense. We know that Jaden Daniels is a stud. There are tons of targets available. No one else is really there catching a ton of balls in Washington aside from Terry McLaurin, so Deebo is gonna have an opportunity in a high-powered offense and a super cheap price in 2025. That's why I love it this year. Now, the next wide receiver I love is somebody who I loved last offseason as well. It's Khalil Shakir of the Buffalo Bills. Loved him last year. Loved him leading up to the season. Dude was on the way to a huge year, but kind of had some small nagging injuries that kind of caused his overall production to dip a little bit. Now, despite the nagging injuries, he still had a career year, and the Bills just went out and signed him to a $60 million contract extension. 100+ targets in one of the NFL's best offenses. He was top 12 among all NFL wide receivers in slot snaps, which we already established we love the slot. How about Amari Cooper being a free agent? And Shakir has seen his volume and production increase now in each of his 3 years in Buffalo. Given the fact that he will be hovering right around double-digit rounds in fantasy football drafts, he will once again be a solid bench stash. He's like 100 yards and 2 touchdowns away from finishing top 24 at the position. At that price, I love the potential of Khalil Shakir. Which takes us to last but not least, it's Ricky Pearsall of the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm going to try to contain myself here because I liked Ricky Pearsall coming into San Francisco last year. He was highly underrated and then had to deal with recovering from being shot. Now, we have Brandon Ayuk coming off a torn ACL and MCL, and he's still in trade rumors. How about Deebo? We've already established he's gone, he's in Washington, and that's important right there. You don't trade Deebo Samuel with Brandon Ayuk coming off a major injury unless you have confidence in the other guys you have on your roster. Now, we saw what Ricky Pearsall could do when given the chance at the end of 2024. Over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in just the last 2 games of the season. Now he comes into this season fully healthy, not having to recover from being shot, and he also knows the offense and has more chemistry with Brock Purdy. Then you add in the fact that he's about to have a much larger role entering the season, and you can draft him well into the double-digit rounds of your fantasy football drafts. Right now, the consensus has him as wide receiver 54. That's like 12th round or later in most fantasy drafts. If nothing major changes, I have a hard time not picturing Ricky Pearsall on the majority of my fantasy teams in 2025. All right, so there you have 5 guys that I love way too early in 2025, but do me a favor, let me know who you love down below in the comment section. Because I truly believe when you find players that you really love early in the offseason, and then you have the opportunity to follow them over the entire offseason, you really get a good gauge whether or not they should be added to your fantasy football team. Now, if you're out there and you believe that as well, give me an oh hell yeah down below in the comment section. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here for the day. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day, and then most importantly, do your part to make the world a better place.